Guys, in this lesson we are going to compare simple interest and compound interest using graph. But before we start, I would like to go back a little bit with you. Remember, when we started with this lesson, we clearly mentioned that whenever we are calculating simple interest, the principal that we use to calculate the interest remain the same all the way to the duration of the loan or the investment. And secondly, we clearly mentioned that the principal that we are going to be calculating using simple interest will be the same from one year to another. So the principal does not change and the interest does not also change. As a result of this, guys, when you plot the total investment on the graph, we are going to get a straight line. Now, when we spoke about compound interest, we first mentioned that the principal will increase from one period to another. It means the principal will definitely change from one period to another, and the interest that we will calculate will also increase from one period to another. So, as a result, the interest will also change from one period to another. So if we have all this, now we can see when if we plot the total investment of a compound interest on the graph, we are going to get an exponential graph. So right now that we have revised these two concepts, let us try to use an activity to demonstrate what we have just said. In this activity, we have two investors. The first one is Banda, who has invested 10,000 at 12% per year for 5 years simple interest, and the second one is Mabuza. Yes, she has invested the same amount for 12 years compounded half yearly for 5 years. So we are going to calculate the total investment for Bandas, the total investment for Mabuza at the end of each year, at the end of every year, and we are going to plot the total investment on the graph, on the same set of graph. We are going to compare the two investments, and we are going to at the end to say by how much Mabuza's investment is greater than Banda's investment. So that is it. Solution, we start with Banda's investment. Banda is simple interest, and we know simple interest equal to SI equal to P times R times N. So for my book, for Banda, for the first year is 10,000 times 12 over 100 times 1, and then we get 1,200. Now that we have gotten the interest for the first year, we know that this interest is not going to be changed. So you can look in the table, you are going to see that the interest is 1,200 from year 1 up to year 5. It does not change. The reason is we use the same principle and the same formula. Now we go to the total investment for year 1 is the interest in year 1 plus the initial investment. That is 10,000 plus 1,200. Then we get 11,200. For year 2 is the total investment for year 1 plus 1,200, and then we get 12,400. For year 3 is the total investment in year 2 plus 1,200, we get 13,600. So that is what we are going to do up to year 5. Then we move to question B, where we are going to calculate the Mabuza's total investment at the end of every year. So the first thing is she has invested 10,000 at 12% per year compounded half yearly for 5 years. So the first thing is to identify the interval on which we are going to calculate our interest. So it means if it is half yearly, it means in 1 year we are going to calculate the interest twice. So if we do that for 1 year, we calculate interest twice. For 5 years, we are going to calculate interest 10 times. So that is the first thing we have to do to determine the interval in which we are going to calculate the interest. Secondly, we have to determine the interest rate for half a year, because 12% is per year. So half a year we are going to have 12% divided by 2, and then we get 6%. So now that we have identified the interval on which we are going to be calculating the interest, and also we have identified the interest rate for half a year, we can calculate the interest for the first half of the first year, which is 10,000 times 6 over 100, and then we get 600. And we will add that on the initial investment, which is 10,000. Then we get the total investment for the first half of the first year, which is 10,600. This 10,600 will become now our principal for the second half of the first year. So there we have 10,600 times 6 over 100. Then we get 636 as our interest, and then we add it now to 10,600. We get 11,336 as our total investment after the first year. Now we move to the second year. The second year, the total investment for the first year will be now our principal for this first half of the second year. So then we have 11,236 times 6 over 100, and then we get 674,16, and we add it now back to the total investment of year 1. We get 11,910,616. Then that is what we are going to do up to the end of year 5 to get 17,908,49, and then that is our total investment after year 5. Then now we are going to move and plot this on the same set of texts to see the difference between the two. Our graphs, guys, you can see the yellow represents a simple interest. You can see it is a straight line graph. So you can look at it and tell that it is a straight line graph. The reason is the principal that we were using to calculate the interest was the same all the way from year 1 to year 5, and the interest also did not change from year 1 up to year 5. There's a reason why we are getting a straight line graph. You can see it means the proportion by which the total investment was increasing was the same. As a result, we get a straight line graph. Then we move to the red line, which is our compound interest graph, which is the total investment using a compound interest. You can see it is a curve graph. It is an exponential graph. It is really curving upwards. You can see it yourself. Then we asked to compare the two graphs. You can see the graph of Banda's investment is a straight line graph because there it was a simple interest, and whereas Mabuza's investment graph is an exponential graph and it curves upwards. So that is what you have to keep in mind. Then we were asked to identify by what amount Mabuza investment is greater than Banda's investment. Then we take the total investment after 5 years for both of them, and we take for Mabuza is 17,908. We minus 16,000 from there, and then we get 1,908,49. So we can now say Mabuza's total investment is 1,908,49 greater than Banda's total investment. So that is what we were supposed to demonstrate, how the graph of the two interests differs. One is a straight line graph and another one is a curve graph or an exponential graph. So with this in mind, guys, I will ask you to go back again and look for example in your books and try to demonstrate using this again as a reference. Try and try to get everything right. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed. Please subscribe and click on the notification button so that you can receive a notification whenever I post something. Thank you.